Now remember, before we go on, each image has three aspects that help us get to the idea of expression. Number one, the subject, the things that you can point at. Number three, the content, which is the expression or meaning of this image. And the abstract forms, they are the bridges, the transformation from subject matter to meaning. That's what we're going to do for the next few weeks. We are going to be immersed in learning how artists, and you, because you're an artist, use each of these abstract forms to describe, to express, to activate, or just generally say something. Over the next few sections, we're going to see how each of these elements are used and carry us through the symbolic meaning as very particular ideas, concepts, and expressions. Again, in any artwork and in every visual, assume there is meaning. There's always that path. Assume this. There is always a story in these visuals that you see. Say, for instance, this rather creepy, weird picture behind me here. A little odd. Kind of hard at first glance to really understand what the heck is going on. But I bet if we walk along that subject, form, content path, we might just get an idea of what's up, what the artist is actually trying to say. Or at least get closer to meaning, as in what or how it connects to your own ways of describing, thinking about, discussing, debating, expressing the stuff that, well, is important to you. So as always, whenever you see a visual that you want to start to understand, start with the subject, the easy stuff. Name the names, name the objects that are depicted, all of the objects, match them up to known symbologies from past or present situations. And in this example, what I mean by that is, what other symbologies, what other stories do you know that involve a woman and an apple? How about the bubble wrap? What does that usually mean to you as a symbol? Do you see any other subject matter that you deem important? Now that's a good first pass, but let's get deeper, smarter. So after we name these things, this subject matter, describe them. And yes, again, description is your best friend as an artist, your very best friend. Let's get deeper with the abstract recognition of these elements. Let's get to describing them. Not the subject matter, but the elements, the lines, the colors, the shapes, the textures. Use these descriptions and abstract perceptions to help you understand what's going on inside a visual and understand these things on a whole other level. See the visual elements specific to that subject that you named. The specificity means something important. That apple is red, not blue, not yellow, not even green. It's red, which means something. Very important to this story, very important. Remember that color symbology work that you did? Red means something active, excitable, passionate. It's speaking of an attraction and sometimes even a little lustful. Got story here. As well, describe the shapes or textures inside that apple. Describe it as a recognition of something very particular, a bite. Going back to the subject matter, does it matter that the red apple has a bite out of it? Woman? Bitten apple? Does that remind you of any particular stories, whether they be cultural, political, or moral, or spiritual? Also, since most visuals are flavored towards the artist's unique expression, do those textures, values, and shapes of that bubble wrap further, develop our opinion of the overall subject? Where's she looking? What direction? What are the forms being the three-dimensional version of shapes of her body? What do those forms tell us about what her posture or attitude is, which all of those things help us kind of guess what she might be thinking about, what she might be ready to say. With all of that understood, not just the subject, but the subject and the abstract elements of that image, this extra specific description, what they are, what they look like, where they are, which is more important, less important. What do you now think of that visual? Not the subject matter, but the content. Tell me the story. And much more importantly, tell me how this story represents something close to what might be going on in your life. Again, not exact, but what it could represent. Are you the woman? Are you the person she's handing the apple to? Maybe some combination? That's kind of the reason for art. Somewhere in that story, there's a reflection of something that is going on in your life. The story in that visual, no matter how foreign it is to you on first glance, is giving you an understanding, the ideas, the questions, or perhaps just simply vocabulary so that you can make much more out of all the different things that are going on in your life. That's art. That's why we do it. That's why we've always done it. So that's the next bit of this class. We're going to spend some time with the idea of visual language as abstract form. Not the subject matter, but the parts. Working through a number of the visual elements: point, line, shape, texture, form, color, value, space, and time. Each in turn developing our visual vocabulary, seeing things in a little different, light, and learning how to think of visuals in a much more abstract kind of way. So we can get to that story. We'll want to see into an image, any image, and find the path to meaning. The same exact way that you would recognize words as a path to meaning in a sentence. We got 9 of these elements to cover, so let's get on it. Let's get to figuring out what's going on inside these pictures that we see.